Everybody, it's Marion Stewart, and thank you for sparing some time today. We're focusing on menopause and the midlife refuel. So looking at how women can have this amazing refuel at midlife and feel better than they can remember, rather than falling down the big black hole of menopause and feeling that life has passed them by, or the best years of their life have passed them by. So today I'm joined by Tali, who has very kindly come to share her story, because I think it's important that you hear about some of these stories from a perspective of an individual who's actually been there and got the t-shirt, as it were. So Tali, thank you so much for joining me. And yeah, it's lovely to have you here. And you were introduced to me, weren't you? And I think we said last week that was about a year ago.
Exactly. Yeah, just over a year ago. Luckily, my dear cousin introduced me to you, because she just knew that it was something I had to get in touch with you. I'd been suffering from migraines for like the past maybe 10 years or something, and they were just getting worse and worse, and I wasn't sleeping well, and I was just, becoming less and less able to go about my regular life. I couldn't kind of get to what was the problem. And I just knew that, I couldn't really make big work plans or vacation plans, or just, I knew that at any time I'd get a migraine. Like, it was going on maybe like once a week and for a couple of days. And it was just really, really intolerable.
When you had those migraines, did you have to stop what you were doing, go to bed? What was
Absolutely. No, just, I couldn't, there was no medication that was helping me. I went straight to bed, and just prayed for it to pass. I was throwing up, and it was just horrible.
And that must have affected your work. How could you presumably you couldn't predict when if it was once a week, was it just
I really could not predict when it was about to happen. And I really worked much less because of that. I just didn't, I'm an independent consultant. So I if it was a terrible day, then I would just postpone my consultations for a different day. Like, that happened maybe like once a month. And then the rest, I tried to just wing it when I could, but it was just terrible.
Okay. And did you have other symptoms as well? I can't remember in the beginning.
I was really aggravated. I was, I got aggravated very easily. And I wasn't sleeping very well. I started to kind of wake up in the middle of the night and not be able to fall asleep. I'm still like perimenopause. So, I didn't have the other symptoms. But I knew that I would be getting them very soon if I didn't do something about it.
Yeah.
And
so perimenopause is those 8 years leading up to menopause, and no one really tells you about that. And I think a lot of people don't associate it with the lead up to the menopause because we're just not educated.
Exactly. My gynae always said, you can take hormones, but as you can see, I don't even put on makeup. Like, I was not going to put anything, like, I was trying really hard not to do anything unnatural put anything unnatural in my body. Right. So that I wasn't even going to try. So
we got you started. When I met you, you filled in a questionnaire, and I changed your diet and made some suggestions and a bit of lifestyle changing and cajoling, and you took some supplements as well. So just talk a bit about what was your experience from the beginning?
Well, it took me time. I'm sorry, I'm going to move the camera here. It took me time to get into it, and I'm still, I take my time with everything. Like, even the supplements for me were a bit, was a bit too much at the beginning, like too much intervention in my natural way. So we started off with making some dietary changes, and I would never have like two essential things in my life were chocolate and bread, or crackers or wheat, and just taking those two off gradually just really made such a huge change that kind of I felt like I would never go back. Like, I feel so much better. I immediately, actually, with the whole wheat and other gluten products, within 2 days, I suddenly felt that my body was just much. I always had this feeling that my body was kind of fighting something, some kind of toxin, especially with the migraines. I kind of felt that I had to get rid of this toxin until I, and only once I got rid of it, I got back to myself. And then within 2 days, like, I got all my energy back, because I had all this spare energy, that my body wasn't fighting something anymore. Like, all the cells could suddenly breathe happily, do their thing. And I really since then have felt different energetically. Like, I'm much more awake, and I'm much more, my brain is just much less foggy, and I'm just much more up to doing things, more up to doing exercise, even just feel much better.
And the migraines?
Well, I mean, they're almost gone. I can't say completely yet. I mean, last month I kind of felt that it was gone, but I'm not declaring anything yet. But I feel that they're really 95% gone.
Excellent. Yeah, no, I think that's it. It's incredible how what we put into our body affects us. And I think also the fact that very often women have got low levels of nutrients, have got nutritional deficiencies, and that affects the way your body processes things. So when it's a combination of having the refuel and working out what's going to be good for you in the short term, because it's not a life sentence, and people don't need to necessarily, unless you've got an out-and-out allergy, which most people haven't, it's avoiding things while you're having the refuel and then putting them back in, maybe in small quantities, and seeing how you get on, to then live a symptom-free life. And as you say, feel more energetic, and presumably you're in a much better place to produce in your job and everything.
I've actually doubled my workload in the last year. I'm really, I mean, I'm working happily, like, much longer hours, and like doing 3 or 4 meetings a day, and facilitating workshops. And I'm just, and easily, like, not even, without even having to, without that worry, without that little, part in your brain which says, maybe don't, something will happen. Like, no, I can just, months ahead, commit to doing something, which previously I could not.
That's amazing. Yeah, I mean, I love to hear this, and that's why I particularly wanted to share with other people, to give them hope, because we know that a lot of women are thinking of leaving the workplace, and they're feeling really bad about how they are showing up at work, not feeling that they can be productive, as you described, feeling like they've got brain fog. And I think it's not until the brain fog goes that you realize how foggy your brain was. Is that the case for you?
Exactly.
Yeah, you get clarity back again.
Yeah, and just and I think I'm also just much happier. I'm much more relaxed. I'm not as agitated, or as, I don't lose my temper that much, or hardly, never. I'm just a much more relaxed. I'm back to being what I used to be, like, relaxed and mellow and a happy person.
That's amazing, and I love hearing this. It's just, I get to have this amazing job. I've considered myself very lucky that I can have a hand in these major transformations. But it must have made a big difference to your relationship as well, with your husband and your kids.
With my husband, was always very tolerant to, even with my migraines, but like, was just, okay, leave her in her room, we'll talk to her in 3 days, kind of thing. But absolutely, with the kids, I think that they're getting the much better end of the stick, and just generally with people around me. So yes, I mean, Marion, I'm so thankful to you, really. I mean, as you said, like, we forget that, I mean, people always say that you are what you eat, but you don't really realize it like how it affects you.
Yeah, and I think it's a dwindling spiral as well, because when you feel bad, then you become very withdrawn and sedentary. And that makes it all much worse because we need to keep moving. And I think the thing that we need to bear in mind is that 100 years or so ago, we weren't living much past 50, so it didn't matter. But now, it's like midlife. Hello, we've got half of our lives, or at least, lots of years to live, and we want to be able to make sure that we're in good shape, not just at menopause, but after menopause as well. We're much more predisposed to things like osteoporosis, heart disease, dementia, and all of that. And the research shows you can prevent it. And for you, you're perimenopausal, so you're in those years leading up to menopause. Now you've learned to meet your needs. You're not going to go down the rabbit hole. You're just not going to. We might need to tweak a few things when you get a bit further down the line, but you can stay feeling really good and in good shape. And so you've done the hard yards. Yeah, I'm just so delighted for you, really am. And grateful that you've come to share your story as well today.
Thanks, Marion, because I think it's so important to get the word out, because as you said, we're not educated about it. Like, not many people know. I've tried to tell every woman that I meet, and I even try to tell men so that they can tell their partners. Like, I'm really, I think it's essential that such important information gets to women, because it just really, I see women in the street and I can already kind of recognize from their body language, what they're going through.
I know, it's just awful. I mean, our surveys show that 96% of women are not prepared for menopause, and 2/3 of them feel robbed of life as they knew it. It's just so awful. And so many women are thinking of leaving the workplace. And men, we did a survey on men, they just feel frustrated and rejected. And they're not at all educated about how to have wise conversations in or out of the workplace. And so it is a ridiculous situation, because every woman is going to go through this phase in her life, and we make up half the population. So, and the other half of the population suffer if we don't get ourselves in good shape. So it's a no-brainer that we need to learn how to meet our needs.
But the other thing about it is that it's just, well, it's not easy. Okay, you need to put it, you need to make it work, but it's not. It doesn't require you taking medicines or chemicals, or really, really changing your natural, I don't know what to call it, but like your natural intake, or the way your body, it's bringing your body back to the way it should be working.
Yeah,
that's something that really means a lot to me.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't want, again, in the surveys, 90% of the women said that they wanted knowledge about how to manage their menopause naturally. And it is a natural transition. So why would you stuff yourself with drugs and hormones? And anyway, that's not going to correct the nutritional deficiencies that we know that women have. So there's, two distinct bits to this journey. One is sorting out the empty receptor sites within the cells when your ovaries stop working. And the other is refueling your nutrients, which get into a really low range. So yeah, so we'll just need to make sure we keep you well motivated going forward.
Well, I've still got a lot to work on. I feel I'm at the beginning,
Yeah,
there's so many more steps that you've recommended that I still need to implement, and I've got a lot to do. I've got my whole life in front of me to do.
Yeah. Oh, it's great. You're feeling energetic, and you're doing
a different person, really.
Yeah. Absolutely brilliant.
I've got my life back.
Excellent. Thank you. I'm really delighted.
Thank you.
Okay, my pleasure. So now I just need to put my glasses on and work out how to end the broadcast. So thank you. And I'll be catching up with you again soon. Thank you, everyone who's listened today. And if you want any help in or out of the workplace, then please feel free to get in touch with me, and I'll be happy to talk to you. Bye for now.
Bye.